Hey guys, it's Mr. Jack and 000 here, back with Automation the Car Company Tycoon game, and what you're seeing right now is one of my latest builds called the Arris CH250. This ultra base model car, requested by a viewer in my older videos named TV Poco, was built during the Great Recession of 1995 in Gasmea. The cause of the recession was due to deregulation of the auto finance industry as car prices rose and drastically dropped as people couldn't afford to make their car payments. Thanks, George Bush, you piece of shit. About the car, all I could say that it doesn't have a lot of options, hence it being a cheap basic car with a basic engine that tends to struggle a lot. It has a lap time of 2 minutes 38 seconds 60 milliseconds at the quote-unquote Top Gear test track and 4 minutes 12 seconds 1 millisecond at the automation track. It has a top speed of 62.3 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in an abysmal 117 seconds. This vehicle uses a fictional store-bought Harbor Freight Predator 250cc engine that produces 12 horsepower and 11.2 foot-pounds of torque. It has a fuel efficiency rating of 23.3 miles per gallon, weighs 1,452.7 pounds or 661 kilograms, and costs a wallet-friendly $10,600. And for the market, it mediocrely competes in the utility, off-road, and delivery markets, even though it's a two-seater basic coupe, as you can obviously tell by the shape of the car. In terms of how I created the CH250, the panel material will be made out of aluminum with a monocoque chassis made out of regular steel, with a front transverse engine placement, and both the front and rear suspensions are made out of a solid axle coil. For the engine, it's an inline-3 cast-iron engine with the bore and stroke set to 50 millimeters, which the family capacity is set to 294.5 cubic centimeters, which you can go lower with the variant capacity, which I'll show you next, with a single overhead cam 2 valves made out of cast iron. For the crankshaft, it's made out of cast iron with the cod rod set at cast and the pistons at low friction cast to increase the fuel economy, which was the goal of making this engine. I mean, it's poor in performance, but fair in fuel economy. And with the variant capacity, it's set to 47.5 millimeters for the bore, 47 for the stroke, which gets it to about 250 cc's. For the compression, it is set at a normal 8.8 to 1 with the cam profile set to 67, and VVT never existed for Harbor Freight engines. I kind of thought in the back of my mind I should make a Harbor Freight car, kind of like what Consider did to the Poco car. For the fuel system, it is a single barrel eco carburetor with our only options a single barrel with a standard intake running on regular fuel with the fuel mixture set to 14.3. Ignition timing dropped it down to a 30, and the RPM limit is set to 6,500 RPM. For the headers, it's going to be made out of tubular exhaust headers, with our only option is a single exhaust with the exhaust diameter set to the lowest of 12.7 millimeters or a half an inch with a 3-way catalytic converter, with the first muffler is a reverse flow and the second one doesn't exist. For the drive type, it is a front-wheel drive with an automatic 3-speed with the top speed set at 63.4 miles per hour, with the spacing dropped it down to a 35 because it's a pain to upshift this vehicle once you're accelerating, and differentials open, so who cares about it. For the tires, they are radial hard long life tires with the front and rear tire width set at 125 millimeters running on 13-inch steel rims. For the brakes, they're as basic as they can be with drum 2LS brakes with the front brake size set to 170 millimeters. The rear is also a drum but a SLS drum brakes with the rear brake size set to 160 millimeters with a 25 on the pad type and a slightly adjusted brake bias. For the interior, instead of making this a 4 or 5-seater, we got ourselves a 2-seater with a basic interior and a basic cassette player, because who gives a damn about regular cassettes or CD players? It's got no power steering, no ABS. It was somewhat of a luxury, but it was starting to get more mainstream, and it's got basic 1980s safety standards. And for the suspension, basic. Standard springs, twin tube dampers, passive sway bars running on a normal preset. Like, how basic can this be for this vehicle? Despite a few problems on here, which is just only the engine being underpowered and a high tire profile, we're gonna say screw it and just export this to BeamNG.drive and test this atrocious vehicle out. So here I am walking out of my $130,000 home at Garfield Heights, and Kill Rob, we need to talk. Seriously, this is like the second time I had this, which I think this is a body issue once you export this from automation to BeamNG.drive, where some of the assets here, like, look at this. The brake lights don't exist. So you got the outline here and a portion of the brake light just visible. How about if we check out the front? The front doesn't exist. You got the grill peeking out here, even though this front grill doesn't exist. Like, these side grills exist. Headlights don't exist. The front main grill doesn't exist, but this is kind of interesting. And also, here's a picture to buy that I used to make this car for any technical reasons, or just to debug it in the future. So right now, let's just take a drive with this vehicle. We're going to skip the performance test because this vehicle would probably be impossible to get a 0 to 62 because in BeamNG, compared to automation, in BeamNG, they calculate the exact weight of the vehicle, drag, gravity, everything about this vehicle, including like the inclines and basically the terrain in general. Like, automation doesn't do that, but BeamNG does. Like, if we were to do a top speed run this vehicle, this would probably go like 50 miles an hour. Right now, we are speeding in a residential neighborhood going 37 miles an hour and climbing, going on a slight incline, and we're losing speed. We'll just call this a basic city car. Just avoid the highways at all costs. Can I whip this? Sort of, around 30 miles an hour. This is pretty much a step up of my old slow car, like my recent ones, which was a basic $3,500 car called the People's Car Poverty Edition. I'm planning on making a sports car, like a sports edition model of the Poverty, or People's Car Poverty Edition, like it'll be called the Poverty Edition Sport, like something just bland and basic. It'll be cheap as always, probably a $4,000 price tag, maybe bump the horsepower by like 510 or something, and that'll be it with that vehicle. And at least this is also a big step up from one of my early automation to BeamNG vehicles, which was the Crapmobile, the version 2 model, not the original one which I made in the key engine of automation, which was about 5 years ago, even though I'm planning on making a 5-year anniversary video with my first ever supercar made in the key engine of automation, which you could still access the key engine, but it'll give you some nostalgia if you're like me who played this game for a long time. So what if we do get a brake test going? Let's find a straightaway. Let's go through this screwed up concrete and then just brake test. Let's do a 40 if we can get it. And now 40 to 0. No skidding. 40 to 0 in 2.3 seconds of 64.52 feet. What if we compare it to the People's Car Poverty Edition? Spawn that one up. So I got the People's Car right next to me with no mufflers and is extremely loud. And I also put the torque graph up in replacement of the performance timers. So this vehicle makes 12 horsepower at around 11-ish foot-pounds of torque. The People's Car, on the other hand, half that but more torque. 6 brake horsepower, 14 foot-pounds of torque. I'll drive the People's Car again and just give you a comparison between the two. When we take off, it's loud. And it doesn't even go, even uphill, which I'll find an uphill like, no, that's kind of flat land. Well, let's say screw it and just upshift. Here's the bad thing about this car if you haven't checked the video out, which I made like 3 months ago. Upshift. It wants to stall out. Look at the freaking torque graph and the RPM counter on the bottom right of the screen. Like, this thing wants to stall out. This is how bad this vehicle is. With the CH250 on the other hand, just hit the gas. I mean, it goes pretty slow, but much faster than the People's Car. I'll put them side by side and just do like a basic drag race with them. Or just go to like West Coast USA and do a drag race, which I'll do that right now. Go to West Coast USA and do a drag race with the two. And then we'll do a race at West Coast USA, like go to a small track over there. So here I am at the drag strip. And here is the People's Car that just plopped down on the earth, making its way to the starting line of this here drag race. And god dang, that's loud. Alright, go up to the starting line. Will it stop before or after the line? Let's hurry up, back up. I would say if you're over the line, and it's over the line. And he's considered ready? What? That's not fair. Hold up. I know it's got bad brakes and everything, but that's not fair. Bring him back to the front tires touch the line. Oh, sorry about your license plate. And 2, doing that to your engine isn't that great. Okay, front tire on the line. Now I'll do that to myself. Oh. Are we good? I think we were okay despite the front tire being way over the line. go back to arcade, which I don't think won't count because we're on drive. So here I am, gonna go to second gear. Him, on the other hand, I might go to second gear with him. Yeah, do that. So 15 miles an hour he is capped at. Me, on the other hand, I'm gonna finish her from around 40 miles an hour, maybe 42-ish. Let's see. Going around 40 right now. A little bit too early. And 41.42 seconds of 35 seconds, 111 milliseconds. How about him? Still way back there. Let's go to regular cam and meet him right here. Let him T-bone into me once he gets to the finish line of this quarter mile. And let's wait for him. You know, let's just go to him. I don't know if it's going to count or not with the timer on the top left here. Let's see. Timer, 63 seconds, 841 milliseconds of 15.55 miles an hour. Me, like I said, 41.42 miles an hour of 35.111 seconds. How about if we do two CH250s together? So let's just continue on and let him T-bone into me. I'll have to bring out the cop car yet again for the, what, second or third time in this series. Like, I spawn a cop car, ram into the subject, like right here, at like, what, or 50 miles an hour and call it a day. So let's just hide the UI, and let him crash into me, so, well, back up a little, and camera to everything as is. Well, my car handled it pretty well compared to him, so he's not going to vehicle rate me, so there's that. Hold up. No, hold up. Is he immobile? His tire is literally... No. Both front tires, front wheels are bent because of the impact. Let's look at the front end. I can't believe we dented the hell out of it, crinkled in at 50 miles an hour compared to this hit where we got nothing on this vehicle, the CH250. Wow. So let's respawn him, and we'll respawn myself and get another CH250 out, and then we'll throw this onto a racetrack. So here is the vehicle. Let's do a pro tree, make things even more interesting. And now here is the vehicle, just plop it down with missing assets, probably covered up from the paint and everything with the complexities of exporting this to BeamNG.drive. So bring myself to the start line. Let's do a little bit behind in case he goes over the line like the People's Car Power Edition did. And that's fair. Let's bring ourselves up. And stop, and go. So here we go. Who got the better reaction time? Who got the better reaction time? This is very daunting, and I think I'm going to win this. Let's see. Two crappy cars that outperforms the Crapmobile V2 and the People's Car Poverty Edition. I'm going to get the upper hand. I don't know if it was because of the launch or whatever, but I got the upper hand. Let's see. Time and speed. Same speed. He got worse speed. 34.782 seconds of 41.44 miles an hour. The AI got 35 seconds, 377 milliseconds of 40.74 miles per hour. So about a mile an hour difference between the two. And we just popped the exhaust and let the other CH just vehicle rate me right now. Do it. That was an assault because he didn't stick onto me. So let's wave goodbye to the AI right here and do a time trial with this vehicle, a short one to be specific, at this map here of West Coast, USA. Let's look for a small one. Let's see, how about the alternate racer? No, let's do a street course. Street course 1 could be an easy one. Do a couple laps in the early noon hours. Bring out the Arris CH250 Dire, which stands for the Ultra base model car, not the regular base model car like any other base model car out there. So right now, bring it to the starting line of this race right now. And it's kind of weird how they considered it as hard difficulty. Hopefully it isn't that hard. So here we are at the start and finish line. Unfortunately, we are behind the line, unlike my Mazda Miata drift car where it was in the middle of the line. And it's a basic start and finish line with these little chalkboards right here, the checkered chalkboard, and this one over here with this checkered flag stripe in the middle of the road. So let's get ready to start this race off in 3, 2, 1, start. That launch was impressive. And 2, no trucks here. Well, at least we got a downhill right here, so it's not going to be that bad once we get up to speed here. I swear we could whip this. Turn now. Sort of, around 37 miles an hour, and okay, this is the difficult part. 12 miles an hour. around 661 kilograms, 1,700 or 1,400 pounds, and it's gonna fall like the People's Car Poverty Edition. It's gonna shake its ass, gonna say, no, I can't do it, and eventually stay. So this course is a total bust. Or is it? I could just rev it in neutral just to give it some power. Alright, finally up this hill. I don't even have any, hope up this hill right here, right? Going at constant, kind of increasing speed in the teens right now, but I'm concerned about the future of this race. I might as well go to the ultra race circuit, just do one lap out of this. And this is a big uphill, so I doubt it. 20 miles an hour and just drastically drop speed, so this is impossible. Yeah, who's here? Nobody. So right now, switch to tracks, alternate race circuit it is. I might as well just reserve the street courses for more powerful vehicles, and just do one lap on this with a rolling start to make things a lot more interesting. So bring it to the starting line and start this off. So here we are way back here because we are doing a rolling start of this here race. It's going to be one hot lap, probably a cold lap because of the performance of this vehicle. So get things started and ready, go. So not a 3, 2, 1 go like always, because a rolling start, it's a whole different story. And here we go. Here is our first lap. Well, counted way before the start finish line. How dare you guys. So around this corner, let's not corner cut and just whip around here at around the high 30s. Wow, this is pretty maneuverable. Powerless, but maneuverable. And we got uphills. I'm gonna have a claptrap moment say, oh no, stairs when it comes to hills like this with this type of vehicle. It can't conquer a hill, nor does claptrap of him trying to conquer stairs, which he can't do in Borderlands. And I swear to make this more interesting, go to external. Can we make things even more interesting, or is it going to be distracting and just not worth whatsoever? Kinda worth it. Maybe not with that camera angle. Like, I have to click the right analog stick, which I got set for the camera, just to reset the camera, and we hit a top speed record. Hold up. 47 miles an hour. And this thing's handling the corner pretty well. 0.8 G's of steering. Wow, I don't even have to hit the brakes in this vehicle. Let's just pull up. Can I get a top speed record? 48. 48 here. Look at the G's. I get 1.2 G's in a basic two-seater coupe vehicle. Oh my god, man. How can this be possible? And here is the finish line. So, we get a time of 1 minute, probably 54 seconds, 518 milliseconds, and find somewheres to crash this. So who cares about the time? Free roam, crash these barriers, camera everything as is. There goes the hood. So back this up. We pretty much flattened the front end of this vehicle. I'm surprised the radiator ain't leaking. Any BeamNG vehicle, the radiator would be leaking. And now we got the grill exposed because we broke through the paint job here. So looking at the engine, bent the engine up, like the placement of it. I don't know how it's still working in this shape. And two, why do I have two little things here for the hood? And real quick before we take this down the brutal slope, yeet the bitch. Well, it's gone. Who cares? So overall, the damage, major front end damage, but still doable. Even though we screwed up the steering alignment for the front left wheel. So right now, last part of the video, drive this down the brutal slope and see if the stocks crash with this vehicle. Thanks to George Bush and Ben Bernanke. And here we are at the messed up textures of brutal slope, but it only applies to this hill right here. And about Ben Bernanke, he wasn't really the cause of the Great Recession. It was just the housing market, and every American says George Bush, even though Ben Bernanke, he was the Federal Reserve Chair, but he's not really to blame. Hopefully he's not. So right now, make a drift here and recover the vehicle. Line us up a little bit more and skateboard down this ramp here. And hopefully we can upshift in one piece. 0 to 62 in 5.78 seconds of 263.23 feet. That's the first time we got a 0 to 60. I should probably do a 62 to 0 brake test while we're at it. And we are going 200 miles an hour and counting and going up the ramp here. And we get an exit speed of 150-ish miles per hour. And this crash will pretty much end at, like, I almost did it too slowly. Get a camera going right here. Hide the UI. and crinkle it goes. There goes the wheels. And here we go. Now the assets are popping into place, especially the rear taillights. And the turn signals are flying. Wow. The reverse lights are trying to fly too. Alright, 16 times, track it a little. And there goes all the pieces flying out of this vehicle. Even the brake lights I got set here. And full time. And like that, we killed the engine. End over end it goes. And it came to a rest. And there goes all the tires. Those tires, yeah, that's a tire, and all the debris that I put on this vehicle to make it more lethal. So looking at the damage, we got this reverse light trying to take off. So let's lower the strength and just drop them. There you go. Now you're free. So damage, crinkle the back right because we went over end. The front is as expected. The front end is having a seizure because what? The chassis is jerking off. Please stop doing this before I get demonetized, man. And also, speaking of the chassis, that thing is hella vibrating. Including the engine here. Wow. Let's hope this doesn't get worse for the future. So last part of the video, skateboard down this ramp here, or this hill to be specific, and get some upshifting problems, and get ourselves wedged down this block down here to wedge this vehicle and make this even worse for the auto market. So I'm guessing the top speed when we reach down here, I'm thinking around 225, 230 miles an hour. Okay, now we're drifting a little because of poor aerodynamics. The speed we're gonna hit is like I've planned it. 200, probably 233-ish once we get down and get ourselves wedged in this block here. So here it comes. 16 times. Let's see, where is it at? And it's going air. Is it for real going airborne? Yes, it is. I never seen a vehicle go airborne on a brutal slope map like right here. So 100 times slow-mo, here it comes. Let's add the FOV. Okay, here's the FOV back. And right here, final placement. And crumble it goes. Will the aluminum body hold up? Sort of. Even though it's a 90s vehicle, not a classic, poorly made vehicle made out of steel. And sorry for the biodea rape. And like that, we killed the engine like it should. And the chassis, again, is thrusting itself inside the body of the vehicle. So bring it down at the bottom of the hill to see the aftermath of the destruction. So here we go. There goes all the debris, starting from your, what is this, the reverse? Oh, that's the mirror of the vehicle, followed by your brake lights. Every single brake light, turn indicator, another turn indicator. Can we see reverse light here? Or no? I think it's underneath this, right? Yep, we got ourselves a reverse light, and I swear. Will the reverse lights work in this condition? Oh yeah, they do. What? Interesting. Turn signal. Is this left? Right? No. How is this magic even possible? The brake lights. Bruh. How? So in terms of damage, it's mangled the hell up. That's all I gotta say with this vehicle. Oof. So that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive with the Arris CH250 Dire. This vehicle, a good thing about it, it's a step up from the People's Car Poverty Edition, was a $3,500 hunk of metal that didn't do crap. Even though it has some similarities to the People's Car, like it can't go uphill, poor top speed, poor acceleration, and everything. But at least it can go up to 3 gears rather than 2, even though in second gear that vehicle chokes at second gear. But in overall, the performance, it's bad. Very bad that the recession will continue to worsen if everybody buys this type of vehicle. Hopefully, the automakers at Gasmea really learns from this mess here of why you shouldn't really make a cheap car with cheap performance and cheap everything just to satisfy the auto market demands. So this has been Mr. Jack and 000. I'll see you in the next video.